G'day everybody, it's Peps here, and I'm happy to present to you the 2022 Port Adelaide season preview. I tell you what, last year we got these three blokes on to have a bit of a chat about the Power and whether they will surge to premiership success or whether Alberton will have another blackout in the last few weeks of September. So we brought them back again, the Portress Podcast boys. Ravishing Nick, magnificent Matt, and the man known as the Fedora are all back to talk about the single greatest team to come out of Port Adelaide. Not according to the Crows, though. Gentlemen, welcome to Lace Out.
Thanks, Pep.
Thank you.
All right, now, boys, I've got to ask you simply, first and foremost, how you guys feeling moving into 2022 after the pain of going down so close in 2021, that final series? The man with ice in his veins took it away from you. Probably a hard one to swallow. What's the belief from the three of you? What are Port going to do this year?
Pep, I feel like this. If it wasn't 11 o'clock, if it was 11 o'clock last year in the 11th hour of this premiership tilt, we're at 11:30, we're 11:45, and it's getting beyond a joke. And it's there's a lot of pressure on. I'm confident still. Interesting. Recently at the P YouTube channel with our predictions, I'm still confident Port Adelaide will do really well and come out and learn from last year. But am I confident to be top?
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I reckon I'm tipping a premiership, but I reckon that we might finish third. I feel like there's a couple of teams that will actually consistently kind of stay on top of the ladder. There's your team in particular. I think we'll be. I don't think we'll be on the ladder on the top all year. I think but I'm liking to think that we've finished third or fourth, and that's where we get our opportunity to actually redeem ourselves in the final. So that's my whole theme of my preview.
Okay, so a few things that you learnt from last year's game. Probably one of those things is actually show up. You might want to do that this year because, let's be honest, you thought that you were going to be playing the D's the week after, didn't you? It looked like you were just run-of-the-mill, playing the Dogs, we've got this.
A few of the comments I was going to say, a few of the comments that were made when we're watching the grand final games, like, kind of glad we aren't playing because, my gods, the D's are on fire.
Yeah.
So it was
that's a conversation for another day, gentlemen. Don't try and change the subject onto a pretty one. We're focusing about your mob here, okay?
Yeah,
so
that's fair. That's fair.
You did like that last couple of moments, Fantasia versus Duray, going into that forward line, anything could have happened. It was a sniff of an oily rag, the difference between the two of you, but it's probably sometimes better to get kicked out of at the prelim stage than see what happens to you at grand final day as well too.
Yeah, 2007, we know all about it. Yeah.
Yes, we do. But hey, you got 2004 to look at as well too.
And that's exactly right. That's where you're right. Yeah.
Speaking of 2004, don't remember what happened the last time Port lost two prelims in a row.
That's right.
What happened?
That's where I'm confident because it's 02 and 03. I mean, if you just want to jump straight to it, Craig, I'll go to it. I reckon there's a theme that is in the club's psyche that is telling me that this is definitely an opportunity this year. You've got Ken really on, it's either shit or get off the pot, Ken.
Very much.
He's shit or get off the pot time.
Yep. I was going to touch on Ken.
Yep.
Your thoughts? He's been there, many, many years now. What's he up to now, years-wise?
11
years. All right.
2012 was his first year.
Okay. Hasn't had the ultimate success. He's had Michael Voss around him. Voss is gone.
Was it 13? So it's 10 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, let's face it. I reckon. Hey, Peps, real quickly, if we kept Walshy and didn't lose him to Adelaide and he didn't pass away, of course, assuming he'd lived, mate, that Walshy Hinkley would have gave us the 3 or 4 premierships we were looking for, hands down. Rashudo changed the theme, and obviously his personal life is unrelated to what's on the park. So him passing. So it would have come. That's unrelated to Port Adelaide. So yeah, we lost him to Adelaide Crows, and I feel like there was a little kind of a burst of that bubble because we were getting somewhere. And then we build again, obviously, as we all know about 2015-16 being almost just gap years before it's just like they were like, Nick was just we're just nearly there.
Yeah, nearly there, but not quite. Not quite.
But teasing, and then you had the freaking Paddy. I'm sorry, his name escapes me, but Paddy Ryder issue where we missed him for a whole year. So there's a whole lot of issues where and Dixon, and then finally Dixon and Ryder. Finally, I mean, there was only in the year that we had all our dream team. How often were they actually able to get on the park together?
There was a lot of injuries. Had a lot of injuries.
I think very rarely would Paddy Ryder and Charlie Dixon be able to be on the park together. So that's literally. So there was a lot of So it's been an interesting, but that's all part of everyone's story.
It's football.
Alistair Clarkson probably has a lot of those stories, but just has premierships to have at the end of it. So Ken is falling short and should have got off the pot this year.
I only say you're only as good as your last season. And that's what we should maybe think about is maybe moving forward. I mean, this is a season preview and not a psychology session for the three of you. But
well, that's an interesting thing. I asked the question. I was just going to ask the question. Holy smokes. You'd think that you'd think we were a second bottom of the ladder. Just the feeling and for a team that is doing so well and we look in history and we've got so much success and so many wins, it actually almost sometimes the wins a bit boring. We build that because sometimes the way our team goes week in, week out, it's really funny. You feel the theme when you do our podcast, and it's just like almost we should almost like it's a pressure game. Most games are almost where we should win it. If we lose it, then there's this pressure on us. It's like a team instead of every game going in with anticipation of positive feeling, like the team goes when they're actually playing, and you're fearing. You're trying to win and trying to just defend instead of attack on a game. If you put a microcosm of our season collectively into one little game, we play like that. Ken rolls the dice in a defensive mode, and then we get teams hitting on us. And they do it literally actually each week as well. The good teams, the teams that's where I feel like we've never really been good. We're good when we beat those teams we should beat. The other teams that really do lose, well, they're just sitting there going, feel good about yourself. We'll come out, the Devil Demons, and Western Bulldogs. They just clean us up when the time came, so it's frustrating.
Yeah, I think, I think the key points you took out of that is that I don't think you beat many top 8 teams last year.
We did a couple.
I think it might have been one or two at the most.
It was definitely more than that. We did beat a couple. I think it was
we beat 3.
Yep.
No, what we did though, we did it the second half of the season. So you remember, Peps, you're absolutely right. You're reading the tone of, the talk for the first freaking 12, 13 weeks. And we were talking our podcast about it. Like, guys, I can see what's going to happen. I can see the teams that are really good are watching us week in, week out and seeing even where we don't smash a side. We should be beating this side by 100 points. The way we played the first half, we're 60 points up, and then we win by 35 points. And you go, how does that be? How are you at 10 goals up at half time and you end up winning by 7 or 6 goals? And then we all walk away going, well, if the win's a win. But we all know in the back of our head, your mob and other good mobs are going, I can't wait to get lick these boys.
It's ebbs and flows. It's ebbs and flows. And I think, look, the two key things that I just took out of all of that, obviously, like I said, the ebbs and flows. You can get out, you can smash the lower end teams. Second of all, just let me finish. Charlie Dixon does not kick more than 2 goals against top 8 teams. He goes missing.
He does.
Matty, you used a 4-syllable word. I don't know what I can't remember what it was a moment ago, but please don't use 4-syllable words. Port Adelaide's not used to them.
My apologies.
Microcosm, I think it was. But I think the other thing to come out of all of this is you're either on or you're either off. You are the power. Either you play surge mentality football, or you completely black out. And
2 years. Only 2 years.
Is that how you look at it, Nick?
Yeah, I feel. It was very obvious. We smash lower side teams and top side teams. We just don't turn up. It is either on or off or 2-year team. It's what it was like last year.
But you know what? You did turn up because you had a percentage of 126.27, which was the fourth highest. So you're a top 4 team with 17-5 record with the fourth best percentage, you did damage. But you didn't do damage against the teams at the top of the mountain. It was always the ones at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you can look when you're not getting wins, you can enjoy those victories. But those victories hurt more than the losses at times when you know what you can do and everything clicks. And then you go against somebody who's strong across the ground from the way they defend, or they'll play a man-on-man defense or defense. I don't like defense, and it's difficult to cover that as well too. Yeah, you lose a Dougal Howard. Like, I don't understand how he left. Like, why he left at all.
I don't think he's done all that great at St Kilda anyway.
Pardon?
I don't think he's done that great at St Kilda anyway.
But he doesn't have to do anything at St Kilda. What was he doing at Port? I don't think he was your worst backman. Like,
he definitely wasn't our best, and I think we've replaced him with
Who
better.
Who with, Craig?
Alier.
Don't give me 2 times. 2 times is on a different planet.
Come on.
2 times is on a different planet, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was sensational last year in the first final, and then he got shackied in the second, which was kind of funny because your group didn't give him much support. Your midfielders were not exactly putting enough pressure on putting you on the mid. Sorry, I've gone blank. Putting enough pressure for them to stop it. It just didn't work. The doggies didn't do it.
Without any bad language, I will say as something that I find really frustrating about our club is, again, the maturity of the side. And so, again, if you look at we're just so fragile. And one of those things you say is the example on the results, you know, what you see in the results, what you see from what we do, is also shown up in those little moments. Like you say, Alier is not looked after. So who's accountable for that? Where's the leadership? Where is the start? And I think that chip in our, that kind of chip in our armor, that chink there that we don't look after, is all over the place. And as it's the death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
who's accountable? I think it's both the players on the field for not recognizing it sooner, the leadership team for not acting on it sooner, and also the coaches for not. It's everyone's responsibility.
So it's the club.
We're here, but we don't see it.
It's the club as a whole. Look, the coach has to get you guys mentally and physically fit and ready for the game, right? Yes. Ken Hinkley had no control on what happened on preliminary final night, and we're going to move on because I don't want to talk about the past, all right? But
agreed.
He had no control once that ball was bounced. And you could see him sitting in the coach's box, and the look in his face at times was like, what has happened?
He can give some direction, but not nearly as enough as the players
He can't control the effort people put in. He can't control the mindset once they start. He can get them prepped. But you know what? That was last year. Let's look at this year. Okay. So, yeah, and look, I can hear there's a bit of excitement. Matty's a little bit of excitement. He's looking he's saying there's a premiership window. Now, I don't know whether you're looking at a window outside of Alberton Oval or you're looking through the window, the round window on the play school clock.
There are no windows today, my friend.
So, are you locking yourselves in for at least a top 4 spot?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so we can mark that one down. We're going top 4. Okay. So, to take it to the next step, where does the improvement have to come? Because you have to improve to really get to that last week. Not about winning it. Where's the improvement going to come from?
I wish I wasn't saying to you that we're a top 4 side. If I can just jump in, I really wish we were still just we didn't have the expectation of having a Dixon and a Boak and all the champions that may let us down again. I wish we were just a very, very new side, no expectation. And I was telling you that we'll hopefully just make the 8. Because then, you know, there's that less of expectation that we struggle with that. Unfortunately, we're too good of a side to be going, 5th or 6th or 7th. We are a top 4 side. But we are just going to make up those numbers in that top 4 again is what you're asking. And I can't freaking answer that at this stage. I'm sorry. I just don't know. I just fear I'm going to be let down. But just like you look at the maturity and where we're at, freaking hell, if we get there, why not? We are so ready. We're so freaking primed. So it's just a mixed
Craig,
feeling
you're
of
looking
what's on
very,
that.
very stern under that fedora right now.
He's got a lot of things he wants to say. I can tell.
I can see that. I can see that that's about to float off your head in a moment. Listeners, you don't understand. Craig wears a fedora to every single one of Port Adelaide's games. And the look of it at the moment, he wants to monologue this. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Monologue.
Your monologue.
He wears it every podcast, even when we're not doing audio with visuals, audio only. He's still there.
Look, my personal opinion is, especially with what happened last year and coming into this year, one, I think we did extremely well in most games, considering the depth of talent that we lost during the season with injuries and whatnot. I mean, most of the season, Connor Rozee wasn't great. He was pretty much playing with an injury all year. Losing Butters for over half the season really hurt us. Losing Dersma, and then even losing some of the fringe players like Kane Farrell. Dan Houston wasn't right half the year either. There was just a lot of injuries on Fantasia on and off. It was Robbie Gray we lost for a while. But
we were bringing in players and they were getting injured like almost instantly.
Yeah, but for us to do as well as we did, yes, we didn't beat top 8 sides. Well, I actually had a look at it. We beat 4 top 8 sides during the year. And that's including like Essendon at the start of the year and that when they were shit, but they were still a top 8 side, so I'm going to count that. But
smoke if you got them, boys.
Pretty much. So, look, the way I see it, we probably went into the finals a little bit underdone, especially trying to rush back some of those real star players to get back in there. I think we got lucky against Geelong. I don't think they were prepared for the qualifying final, and we were just able to get in and get them. But I don't know if the boys were truly ready for the prelim. I think Robbie Gray was underdone. Butters, while he had a great qualifying final, just went missing. And I think this new preseason, and I think some of the young talent coming through as well, plus the few additions we have made in the off-season, I think are really going to help us. I think actually having a secondary forward that can actually step up for us, like Jeremy Finlayson, that's going to really help us, and that'll release some of the pressure in ruck as well. I think he'll be a good forward that can ruck for a little bit. Hopefully that'll free up either Marshall or Georgiades to be a little bit more freer, and then also Finlayson can take some of the pressure off Dixon as well. Zach Butters and Connor Rozee going into getting more midfield time will be good. God, I can't wait to see Josh Sin get out there and play. He is going to be bloody.
Yeah. All right, tell me about Josh Sin. What is it? Like I said, you can hear the collective right now. What is it about this guy that's...
I'm guessing you didn't watch our inter-club match.
No, I didn't watch your intra-club match.
Okay.
I must admit.
He
outshone almost every other player on the field.
Okay.
And I'm talking even all the stars.
Yep.
I'll say probably the only one that was better than him was Peps.
Yeah, Peps. Peps was making a statement, though. Peps was making that.
Yeah.
I didn't play, boys. I didn't play.
He was making.
No relation.
He was making a statement that he wants to be in the 22 this year.
He wasn't. He was in and out. He was in and out quite a few.
He was not performing very well last year, but he is making a statement, and he's starting it in the intra-club match. And yeah, he was probably the only one that was better than Sin.
Yes.
Can I just say, SVP just looked like he really knew his role, where he can actually look a little bit confused and find himself, you know, where players, you talk about players that kind of read the play, and you talk about how players have that sixth sense. He's almost the opposite sometimes when he's confused and when he's out of whack. He's like totally out of whack. He's just really one of those players that just looks really confused in the park. He was switched on like crazy. The other day, so yeah.
The question comes then: who's the person / people that should be giving him the clarity of his role?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wonder how much Luke what's his name? Luke
Ken
Kelly.
Hinkley.
Kelly. I think Luke Kelly is a new assistant coach.
No, he's the developing midfield coach. Brent Montgomery's taken over midfield.
Yep. But regardless, if a player is confused, it should be the coaches that are giving him the direction. So that's like warning.
Exactly.
If they've been able to tighten that up, where players know what they need to do and know what their role is,
look, to be honest, I think
gives them the security. They go, okay, I know what I need to do. I don't need to do anything outside those barriers. I just need to come in, do what I need to do, and then that's what's
no disrespect. SCP is that type of player.
To be honest,
SCP is go do that, and he do that, and he does that.
Because when he first started, he was like, "This guy's an absolute bull," and then he sort of went off the radar for a bit. And then,
I'm not going to dispute that, but I think he's just got a lot of. I think he's got a lot of issues off field, and I think he was still working through those last year, and that was probably playing on his mind as well. Hopefully now that I'm hoping now he's really got himself sorted off field, and he'll be.
There were comments made that he has gotten a lot of that sorted. So
which is where I think he was having a lot of problems.
Obviously, there's not a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
And look, with him, and I reckon with some of our younger players as well that are coming through, there's one that probably should have got his chance last year but didn't due to a strange, unfortunate injury, and that's the son of a premiership player, Darren Mead. His son, Jackson, should have played last year for us.
He looked good too in the intra-club.
He looked really good in the intra-club this year, and he was looking really good prior to he got a ruptured spleen in a Sandford match last year, so he was out for like 10 weeks or something ridiculous with that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting when you look at your spread when you're talking about the younger guys and older guys. You got the fourth, you got the fifth oldest list and the fourth most experienced in terms of games played. So you really are at that tipping point, and you look at some of the names over the next few years that are going to move on. Robbie Gray, regardless of how awesome he has been, is going to have to move on.
I thought last year might have been his last year, but I reckon this year will be.
Yeah, I reckon
it will be. Yeah, you'd have to have a look at Charlie Dixon to a degree as well too. He's on signed on for next year, so we'll see where that one goes. You've also got Boki. He's only going for another 10 years.
He's going to play for another 10 years.
He is going to be the AFL's version of Tom Brady. Thank you very much.
Yep. He trains with Tom Brady.
In what capacity? Like Super Bowl wins or premiership wins?
As in, the fact that
he's playing till he's 40.
Oh, so 40. Okay, I get it. So
he's going
to be Port Adelaide's Dustin Fletcher. Fair enough. And then you've also got someone, and I'm just looking at the names here as I sort of thought, Tom Jonas as well too, mind you. He's got 2 years on it. It's just you've got, and Scott Lysett as well. So you've got a bit of age at that sort of top end range that you've really got to, I won't even say pinch it because you have been building for this, but you really have to, those guys have to fire and you need to find something underneath as well too. I love Mitch Georgiades as well too.
Oh, my boy.
He's got a bit of spunk about him.
The Greek guy.
The Greek guy. Hey, if anybody wants to get their names up,
there's a few of us, we talked about him last year, didn't we? Now
I think you did.
Yep.
And Max Gorn put him up in lights again. Just stand on his shoulders and you'll be fine too. But there's you're sort of at that, not that tipping point, but you've got to make the most of it in the next couple of years. Otherwise, when they all go, it's going to be hard to get back.
I'd say two, but three stretching it.
You reckon?
I'd say if you were looking at this whole entire squad at the elite best, and you were going to have a drop off, I reckon. In 3 years' time, no matter what, there'll be players obviously that are going to get better, and you have another 3 years better on Rosie and Dersmer and Butters and Georgia. There's a lot of upside still. But
you nailed that draft. Let's be honest, you nailed that one big time.
Insane. And so like 2 to 3 years in
you have to have that blend of old and new. And at the moment, you've got
we got a few new players that are eye-opening.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Check out Sin when you can. Trust us.
I think what you're trying to get at, though,
he will probably be one of that will be poached by a lot of clubs.
Peps, where you're going at with this is, you guys have got to cash in now. Like, this is your opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. You've got to cash in.
It's like a farmer, you've got to kind of, when you get your crops, now's your time, so to speak, to do what you got to do.
The farmer wants a wife, mate. He wants to get married.
He wants that cup.
Can I ask about this guy? Now, I'm devastated that the co-host with the most, Jamie the J-Dog, could not make it tonight. He was shattered. Just had some things, some stuff at home, which unfortunately, sick child. But he is a massive fan of number 16, and we know that. He loves it. We know. His Twitter handle's Wine's Thighs. All right.
What?
I don't even think you guys picked him to win the Brownlow last year. There was only one person in our whole season previews that picked Mr. Wines to win the Brownlow, and that was my brother. He actually picked Melbourne and Wines Thighs to take him out.
Hey,
Wow.
solid.
Yep. And he keeps playing the audio back to prove it. How good was his season from your perspective? Was it his best season by far, or was he just the most consistent out of the Port playing list? Because there's a massive difference between the both. You can have a great year, but you're not being consistent. Was he just consistent throughout the entire year?
No, I don't think he was consistent because there were some games he did not play very, very well. So, I mean, he played a lot of games very well, but it was not consistent.
All right.
But to back up there, to get the confusion again, is he wasn't consistent, but his worst games were it's
Still
in that
pretty
Judge
good.
style again. His worst games were so good because his best games, he was actually affecting results. You know, his game, whether it be in the midfield or up the field, anywhere, he was just he had a really, really, really good year.
Because he was kicking goals too. And
Yeah.
when midfielders are
those-
kicking goals, then you know that's a person who's on.
Yeah,
So
some of
he's
those
the type of
goals too are
guy
pretty spectacular. Bananas
when we
and
had-
stuff like that.
Yeah. So when the club's probably having its highlights package, like if you were looking at tackles, like your good, strong tackles, and you're, even just all the things you probably don't see on the cameras. You have to be there to see all the stuff that's off field, just that extra work. He was involved in so much, whether it be in a defensive mode and obviously as the obviously attacking and helping out in the forward line. But he's also obviously his leadership stuff. He is that vice captain. It's still just such a great honour. If you were never captain, but you were the second in charge of an AFL club, that's nothing to sneeze at. So he's look. If again, I hate to say this, but it's just not. It's just so true. You imagine Oliver Wine started in 2013 at Melbourne Demons or any other big clubs in Melbourne.
He could
Far
have.
out. Like the guy is amazing. He's insanely good footballer. That I feel like he would be talked about in a different way by the collective media and just that feeling. But from us, he's huge. He's awesome, and hopefully we keep him forever as long as he's around. And he does get the credibility or credit that he deserves.
And he's not that old either.
I think the people in Melbourne, I think the people in Melbourne and football lovers, full stop, were happy he won it last year. Like, when some people might be going, didn't see it. You could see, like, he did kick 10 goals last year. So I thought he'd kick more than that. But I think just the most important thing is that he was racking up posies left, right, and centre. He averaged.
Yeah, I agree. He was great.
He averaged almost 30 a game.
Yeah, 30 games
for the year. Like that's massive, and like it's massive, but a lot of extraction work as well. But then he'd push forward. So it was.
Well, ironically,
I love the bloke.
Ironically, to a Melbourne fan, what would you say about the comments that were coming about the Shaneway Woden? He was the out of the blue. You won't hear about him tomorrow. He just had one good year only. Now I say that as disrespectful, but as a Port fan, I've been following him. As a Melbourne fan, you would have seen Shaneway Woden it was a really good footballer. He wasn't just someone out of the box who's had one good year and disappeared. He was a really good footballer, but obviously Shane wasn't in the Voss and Buckley kind of category where they were pushing for. So not. I feel like Ollie was like that in early days. He has probably not hit the potential in the early days that he could have, but to get to where he is now, what he's doing now, and what he's got in the future, he may end up at the end of his career. As we look back in 10 years' time, we might go be super impressed by what we see, from Ollie's career. So it's not done.
And he's only 27. He's got at least another 3 years in the midfield, and then he can push forward. He can push forward.
Yeah, no, he's got a story to tell still.
He's got now. Tell me about Orazio Fantasia, because this one's a little bit perplexing. He came across with so much hype leaving Essendon. It just hasn't come to fruition, has it, Craig? Like, I don't know if you've got a Fantasia badge on that hat of yours, but it would be rubbing, giving you a bit of annoyance, thinking this guy has the potential to be a 40-plus goal kicker and just cannot either get it on the park, or there's just too much flash in the pan stuff. Tell me I'm wrong, but if I'm not,
I don't know if he's necessarily flash in the pan because I think it's just more he's just too injury prone. Is his problem. He breaks down too easily, but when he's at 100%, he is a freaking beautiful footballer.
He's a freak.
Silky smooth forward. And I think last year he played better, even with the injuries, than he did for the last probably 3 or 4 years at Essendon.
Yep.
So I think
he just needs to get his body in order.
Yeah, he just needs to get his body right.
The other one who's very similar to that, but at the other end of the ground is Ryan Burton. Same sort of thing. I can't believe Hawthorn got rid of him. But he's just got to get his body right. But he's almost close to 100 games at the age of 25 as well, too. So he's going okay there.
I think he was pretty good for
Trent McKenzie with, as Bruce would say, that big long leg.
Mm-hmm.
Love watching that.
The barrel.
Hey, can I ask a question? So you've got 2 times who we've spoken about he flourished last year.
Unless it was found out.
Yeah, but a guy that didn't fire last year after a brilliant year before that was the hyphen, Darcy
Byrne-Jones.
What was that another injury plagued season?
No, I think he didn't feel right in his position, I don't think. I don't think he felt comfortable playing. He just wasn't doing right. I don't know if
he went from an all-Australian year to not even all Norwood seconds.
We still have question marks why that happened.
Yeah, we're not sure on that one. I'm very surprised he's now in the leadership group too.
Yeah, but in my eyes, leadership is a mindset. It's not a title.
We've only got 3 of them.
So he's one of the 3.
Yes. One of the 3.
Okay, different story then. If you had about 6 or 7, then I get it. But if he's one of the 3, hey, he must be doing something that makes a lot of sense as well too.
Probably a lot of off-field stuff.
So
who knows?
Like we've covered quite a bit as well, right? From what we've discussed, I reckon that injuries did hit you pretty hard last year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things have to go from the fitness. Have you still got the same fitness people at the club?
No.
So that's changed as well?
So the head of our fitness quit last year, and basically his second has now moved up into that spot.
Okay. All right. So hopefully he didn't learn much from that fitness guy, and he has his own ideas to bring something.
But the funny thing is that the guy that we did have learnt from freaking what's his face now at Adelaide.
Yeah, Darren
Burgess.
He was one of Burgess's.
Yeah.
Everybody's. I can't explain it. Because the guy that's taken over from Melbourne, same thing. Sat under Burgess for a year and couldn't ask for much more. And he saw it worked because we all saw it worked as well too. Because the fitter they are, the skills don't drop off towards the end of quarters, end of games, and that's what you tend to find is that unfit teams make more skill errors because they're tired.
Look what he did with Max Gawn. I mean, come on.
Oh. Yeah. In Gorney's 6th All-Australian year, but we won't go on about that because he's probably got another 4 or 5 in him. Now, all right. So let's start to sort of tie all this up and bring it in a bit of a bow for us. And I want to hear this from each of you because as a collective, the Portress Podcast have got probably a lot planned for the year. Okay, and I know you're all collective on this show. You're one team, one dream, but high hopes. Where does Port finish end of the season? So position-wise, you can go as high as Premier, you can go bottom, or you can give yourselves a number. But we are going to go into the league-wise fairly shortly. So where do you see Port finishing at the end of season 2022?
Finals, at the end of the finals year, though. At the end of the finals.
It's up to you where you put them. So you might not even make finals if you feel that they're not going to do anything. I'm just saying. I didn't even pick Melbourne to win finals last year.
Yeah. You guys,
where do you go, Nick?
All right. I predict we will be brandishing the cup.
Okay. Premiers.
Premiers?
Yep. Mr. Sullivan.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you in a moment, Nick. I just want the easy answer.
They'll be on there on the day, so that's where I predict I'll be there in the day, and I'll be stupid and not believe our team can win it. So yeah, I'll say that they'll win the premiership. So
okay, so they're going to be holding the cup.
That.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I can't believe the Fed zone again. That's how far. That's how much of a victory they will.
That's why we get you on board. We love the passion. Craig?
Oh, you'll be seeing Ken Hinkley basically be Choco from 2004. We did it. We're not chokers. Alan Scott, you were wrong. Thank you very much.
Okay, but he'll probably go, Chris Pepper, you were wrong. That's what he might say. All righty. So the three of you are basically locking in because we normally then go to, all right, who's going to be the overall premier? But you're picking yourselves outside of yourselves. Is there anyone else that you're going with?
Yeah, I've got a team.
Yeah, if it's not us,
yep.
Perhaps you're going to be happy that you'll be back to back.
Okay. Yep. So I'm not biased in any of this, but it is nice to hear. So thank you.
I actually genuinely think the Western Bulldogs will win it if it's not us, and I feel like they will learn from you guys. But again, far out, if Melbourne are playing them and Melbourne win, I'll be like, well, of course, because you can see. So it's almost a little bit of just. I wouldn't again. Melbourne are up there. I wouldn't be surprised if Melbourne, because I feel like we'll finish third before the premiership. But I really honestly just think Melbourne and Western Bulldogs are just in the, even if it's just to be honest.
Pick one, Matty. Pick one.
Third. We'll finish third. And then
one.
Pick a team. Pick a team, Fancy.
Yeah. Doggy.
All right, pick the doggy. He likes doggy style. Okay.
Yes.
Craig, what about you?
I'm going a little left field here, mate.
What's that?
I'm going a little left field here, mate. If it's not Port, it's got to be the Giants.
Left field. He's saying left field.
I tell you what.
It'll be the Giants. The hell? If it's not Port, it'll be the Giants.
All right. You've heard it here first, people. At around about 36 minutes of the 2022 Port Adelaide season preview.
Put 100 down on that. Let's see how much it pays.
Craigie the Fedora has gone down with the Greater Western Sydney Giants.
Well, some would say it's
the first time that they've been mentioned at this end of the podcast with any of the previews that we've done so far.
Wow.
All right, Craig, let's bout this one. Coleman medalist.
I mean, if I was just looking at Port players, I'd be saying Miss Georgiades, but that's not going to happen.
It can be anyone.
No, honestly, I think McKay's going to go back to back on that, I reckon.
All right. Okay, yep.
I'm going to say Miss Georgiades because I believe.
All right. You believe in Greek style. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And Matty?
Hawkins.
Oh, the Tomahawk again.
No.
Cool. All right. We're going to start with you on this one, Matty, and please limit the answer to less than 3.5 hours.
Will do.
Brownlow medalist.
Let's go with not Sam Walsh. I'm taking it now because he's Bailey. Is it Bailey Smith from
Bailey Smith?
From Bulldogs.
Bailey Smith. Interesting.
I'm going to have Bailey Smith.
All right. Nickers?
Yeah. I'm going to say Connor Rosie is going to have an uninjured year and he is going to perform amazingly.
Yeah, but we're talking about the Brownlow.
Yeah, I know. Connor Rosie.
Connor Rosie.
To the Brownlow. Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be awesome.
Craig?
Since I'm on the theme of back-to-backs at the moment, it's got to be Ollie Wines, mate.
Oh,
love that.
Wine thighs.
See, I gave a real answer, and these two dingbats, of course, are going to just go with
listen, we don't discriminate.
Mate.
Proven
commodity now.
Lace out, we don't discriminate. All right,
no,
everybody's entitled to their opinion. We may not agree with it, but we respect it. Okay.
That's why. Look, I love it.
Rosie Giants, but I could look back and feel like an idiot. Right, now, from a Port Adelaide perspective, who's going to be the breakout star for you? I know you mentioned a gentleman by the name of Josh Chin earlier. Are you sticking with him, or is there somebody else that? When we look back at Port Adelaide and go, shit, these guys actually know their stuff. They told us about this in February. This is the guy. He's come from nowhere, but we saw it.
Look, I like Josh Sin. I think he'll be a good first-year player.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll have a consistent 22 games this year, but I reckon he'll at least get a turn at some point and be able to get some experience. But I really think the breakout player who did have some issues with injury last year, but I think is going to really break out, the mullet Lockie Jones.
Stole mine.
So Lockie Jones. For the people who don't know Lockie Jones, where does he play? And just give and Josh Sin for the people obviously outside of your environment.
They're both probably halfback flanks. Sin can also probably go midfield, more wing. He's got that real fast pace and he's got a really silky kick on him. Where Lockie Jones is probably more of that. I reckon he's more almost like a Petrarca type, just big, stocky sort of flank. Could also go in a mid as well.
Okay. So one of those will pinch a halfback spot.
Yes.
And Josh Sin, round 1, 12th pick from the Sandringham Dragons. Very nice. So if you can get one of those, if you get like you saw with the Holy Trinity a number of years ago, if you can blood one of these guys early and get them in and get them settled without the pressure, half-back or a half-forward type of thing, even a back pocket, the way football's played these days, it's going to be nice. Unfortunately, Matty, you're vibing up big time.
You got robotics.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all right. We'll get back to you in just a moment. Sorry, you've gone robotic for the moment. I'm going to hand over to the two gents. Ken Hinkley at the end of the year is going to be tapping somebody at the shoulder and say, hello, I'm sorry, it's your last, mate. Yeah, good luck with your future endeavours. Who's going to be the breakdown for you guys this year?
Jeez, I mean, Nick was touching on it earlier with Robbie Gray probably playing his last year.
Yeah, I feel like while he's performing pretty well occasionally, he still does. He didn't really have a great season last year, and if he isn't any better this year, I think it will be his last. So,
which is a shame because he'll be 34 by the end of the season. But you've got an interesting mix here because you've got 5 over the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
Another couple. That's better for me.
29. Yep, definitely. And then you've got a 27. So you've got a nice sweet spot, but then you've got a few at the top that's sitting that. But they're not old. They're older. That makes sense. Like they're not 29, 30. They're 31, 33. Yeah. So it's
some of those are still contracted for a couple of years, so they're not going anywhere just yet.
I mean, the only other one, at least in that older range bracket, that I could see potentially might be done by the end of the year is Trent McKenzie.
Yeah.
Because he is up there as well, and with the midfield talent we've got, and there is one player that we did pick up in the off season that I think potentially could replace him.
Yeah.
And that's Sam Skinner.
Okay.
So I think.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be the one that may also.
Sorry to interrupt. One thing I have to ask also before we tie this one up is Peter Adams leaving. Is that going to be a loss for you? Not going to be a loss because you have got obviously Ryder still running around with that from that perspective. Is that going to leave a hole?
Can I answer that one? Just how's my audio going?
The audio sounds great. You don't sound like you're trying to be a voiceover artist on Battlestar Galactica.
Sorry, but I'm back now, so to speak, with that. So I reckon Adams has been replaced by Finlayson. And in that position, so it's pretty easy. And I feel like it was not a big hole to kind of be worried about filling anyway. With the Todd Marshall and Georgiades fighting that with Dixon and some other smalls would fill the void of Latham. So it's not a big worry anyway. But Finlayson fills it one in, one out.
Fair enough.
I mean, we've got some good young ruck talent coming through as well to back up Lyset. I mean, I must admit, watching the inter-trial match last week for Port, what is now our second main ruckman, Sam Hayes, couldn't play due to some leg soreness. Yep. So we played one of our draftees, Dante Byzantine, and
I
must admit, for an 18-year-old, while he wasn't actually getting the ball and tapping it, my God, going up against Scott Lysette and really competing like he did, he's going to be a really good ruckman in the future.
Get some time into his legs, and he's going to...
He looks like young Stephen Turhan.
He went against Lysette. Lysette sits at 203 and 102. This young fella sits at 201 and 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. He's got about I can't do the math because it's late at night, but it's about 16 kegs. Yeah, about 16 kegs on him. 16 kegs of muscle and experience. So if he's held his own, awesome stuff. Yeah. Hey boys, what's going on with the Portress this year? So what do you got? What do you got for all the listeners this year? Where's it headed? What do you got lined up for this? For the next season, what's the Marbo? What's the Serenity for you boys?
Well, I'll start by saying that basically we're going to be doing a live preview show every Thursday night. So if it's got four of us is on there generally, it's nice if we can get all four of us together. Yep. It's myself and then Craig, Nick, and Anthony. If all four of us can get on, so be it. That's great. And it gives them, even myself, if I can't be there, it would Craig and I generally, even Nick, and it was all of us kind of can panel and run it. So it's we've got kind of at least three, potentially four captains of the ship, and we all run it, and we all work really well together. Been together now as a crew for about 3 to 4 years, even in this same lineup, the four of us, and also committing to that Thursday. So Thursday's live. And whether we do some other stuff, and
all the best shows go live. Lace out live Tuesday nights 8 on our Facebook page. You can check the show later on. But getting all four of you on the park is a little bit like the team that you represent. It doesn't happen all the time.
No, it doesn't happen.
But when it does, the magic does happen as well.
One time last year, it was just me by myself.
It's like Charlie Dixon in the forward line. Hey, you guys are a well-oiled machine. I love chatting to you guys. Like, we chat quite regularly every week. Like I said, the J-Dog, would love to have the J-Dog here because he'll give me his own little spin-yard on the first week about how good you guys are going to go. But you're going to be an interesting scenario. All the listeners out there and all the supporters of AFL are going to go, where's Port Adelaide going to? Back-to-back prelims, can they take that next step? I think you can take that next step, and I also think that you can take it out, but you need to have that injury run to go a hell of a lot better than you did last year.
Agreed.
Okay, and if you do, then fate is definitely on your side. And I have picked you to be in my top 4 at a minimum at the end of the season. So, the wonderful Nick Thiel, the magnificent Matt Sullivan, and the charismatic Craig the Fedora. I have one simple question for you, and this is it. Gentlemen of the Portress Podcast, who have just presented you your 2022 Port Adelaide Power Season Preview. How do you want your footy?
Laid out.
There it is, listeners. Stay tuned for our remaining season previews, and good luck to the Power. You're going to have a cracker. Thanks, boys.
Thanks.
Good night, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. I'm your host, Chris Pepper, and with Jamie Wallis, we give you your footy how you want it. Peace out.